I'm Heidi Thompson, 29, a high school science teacher in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Mid-lesson, my vision blurred and I collapsed, my chalk snapping to the floor. A colleague rushed me to the hospital where doctors hooked me up to IVs, their faces grim. They called my parents and my brothers, no one came. 2 days later, weak in my hospital bed, I grabbed my phone. A Twitter X notification burned my screen. My older brother, a failing YouTuber, had tagged me in a family photo. They were at a barbecue, my dad grilling my mom, laughing, my younger brother chewing ribs, captioned, "A peaceful day, no drama." The image pierced deeper than the IV in my arm. I was here ignored while they played the perfect family. Then my phone buzzed. 63 missed calls. A text from my mom appeared. "We need your signature. Answer now." "No. Are you okay?" No concern. Just cold urgency. My heart pounded, not from pain but from something sharper, betrayal clicking into focus. Why my signature? What were they hiding? I gripped the phone silent, my mind racing. Their absence wasn't neglect. It was deliberate. I didn't cry. I didn't call back. Instead, I stared at that text, the words searing a truth I had dodged for years. Something had to break, and it wouldn't be me. Ever been left in the dust by the people you trusted most? Drop your story in the comments or share where you were when it hit you. What happened next? Let's talk. Teaching high school science in Fort Wayne, Indiana was my life, but it came with a price I never questioned. My days blurred into lesson plans, grading papers, and late-night emails to parents, all while carrying a weight heavier than any textbook. My family leaned on me not with gratitude, but with expectation, and I let them, thinking loyalty could hold us together. My father, Vernon Thompson, had a habit that drained more than his pride. He'd slip away to local casinos, betting on slots and poker, each loss followed by a promise. "This is the last one, Heidi." I believed him once, twice, then lost count, wiring him hundreds, then thousands to cover his debts. My mother, Marcia Thompson, played her part, smoothing over his failures with a smile. "He's just stressed," she'd say, her voice soft but firm, as if I were the one misunderstanding. I paid for her car repairs, her groceries, her emergencies, never asking why she couldn't manage. My older brother, Lance Thompson, had bigger dreams but smaller plans. He poured my money into his YouTube channel, filming travel vlogs to empty audiences, swearing each video would go viral. Just one more camera, he'd beg, and I'd send $2,000, watching his subscriber count stall at 300. My younger brother, Jonah Thompson, was different, sharp, charming, the college star I bragged about. But his tuition bills landed in my inbox, not his. "You're my hero," he'd text, and I'd transfer the funds, ignoring the sting of his silence afterward. They called themselves the perfect Thompsons online, but I saw the cracks. Aunt Vivian Harper, my mother's sharp-tongued sister, saw them too. Years ago, over coffee, she'd warned me, "They'll bleed you dry, Heidi." Her words cut, but I brushed them off, convinced my sacrifices would prove her wrong. I was wrong. The pressure built like a storm. Last month, Lance called, voice cracking, needing rent money to avoid eviction. I sent it, skipping my own utility bill. The next day, I missed a grading deadline, too tired to focus after wiring him the cash. My principal, a stern woman with no patience for excuses, handed me a warning slip. "Get it together, Heidi," she said. I nodded my head, throbbing, but the weight didn't lift. Wendy Larson, my best friend and fellow teacher, noticed. She'd catch me rubbing my temples between classes, her brow furrowing. "You're killing yourself," she said once, offering to buy me lunch to talk. I waved her off, claiming I was fine, but my vision blurred that night, stars dancing in my eyes. I kept going, telling myself it was temporary, that my family needed me more than I needed rest. But it wasn't temporary. The headaches grew sharper. My hands shook grading papers, and sleep became a stranger. I'd lie awake calculating how much I'd sent: 500 to Vernon, 2,000 to Lance, 3,000 for Jonah's semester. My bank account dwindled, but their demands didn't. Marcia's texts were the worst. "We're counting on you. No thanks. No questions about me. Just expectation." I thought I could fix them, that my effort would make us whole. But effort doesn't fill empty promises. Vernon's bets never won. Lance's videos never took off. Jonah's gratitude never lasted. Aunt Vivian's warning echoed louder each day, but I clung to hope, wiring one last payment to Marcia for groceries. My body, though, had other plans. It was screaming what I wouldn't say enough. The day I collapsed, I'd been up since dawn, grading tests and answering Lance's texts about one more loan. My head pounded, my legs buckled, and the classroom floor rushed up to meet me. I'd given everything: money, time, health, and they took it without a glance. As I lay there, chalk dust on my hands, I didn't know I'd hit my limit, but I had. I woke to the hum of machines, my body heavy, tubes snaking from my arm. The hospital room in Fort Wayne was stark, its walls closing in. A doctor, her voice clipped, explained my collapse was a health scare triggered by chronic stress. "Rest or it'll get worse," she warned, handing me a pamphlet on burnout. I nodded, but my mind snagged on a sharper pain. No one had come. Nurses told me they'd left voicemails for my family, my parents, my brothers. Silence answered. Propped against pillows, I opened Twitter, Shocks or X, my fingers trembling. I found Lance's post, the one that had cut me days ago, but something new stopped me cold. I'd left a comment from my hospital bed. "I'm in the hospital." It was gone. My mom had deleted it, erasing my cry for help. The barbecue photo, my dad at the grill. Marcia beaming Jonah with a plate, felt like a lie weaponized. That deletion hurt more than their absence, a deliberate choice to bury me. My phone lit up with a text from Wendy. "I called your mom," she wrote. "She said you're fine and shouldn't worry them." My stomach twisted. Marcia hadn't just ignored me, she'd dismissed my crisis as an inconvenience, something to sweep under their perfect image. Wendy's words peeled back years of denial. I saw Vernon's face promising one last bet as I sent him cash. Marcia's voice insisting he's trying while I paid her bills. Lance's texts begging for one more loan for his dead-end videos. Jonah's charm calling me his hero to secure his tuition. They weren't careless, they were calculated. I clutched the phone, my pulse racing. I'd been their tool, a means to an end, not a daughter, not a sister. The realization didn't bring tears. Instead, a cold clarity settled in, sharp as the needle in my vein. I wasn't their savior. I was their sacrifice. My loyalty had chained me, but that chain was cracking. Wendy texted again. "Check your bank account. Something's off." Her words landed like a spark. My bank account, I'd never questioned it, blindly trusting Marcia's. "We'll handle it," when I sent money. But now doubt crept in. What had they done? Had they taken more than I'd given? My hands shook, not from weakness, but from a rising anger I'd buried too long. I thought of Vernon's casino trips, Lance's useless cameras, Jonah's tuition that never ended. How much had I missed? I stared at the ceiling, the hospital's hum fading. My guilt, the glue that held me to them, was dissolving. I saw their excuses for what they were, lies to keep me tethered. Vernon didn't need one more bet. He needed me to fund it. Marcia wasn't protecting me. She was protecting her comfort. Lance's dreams weren't mine to finance. Jonah's gratitude was a script. I'd poured myself into them, and they'd left me here, erased from their story. My anger wasn't loud. It simmered steady, fueling a resolve I hadn't known I had. I wasn't ready to act, not yet, but Wendy's text had planted a seed. My family thought they could bury my pain, delete my voice, and keep me in line. They were wrong. I set the phone down, my breathing even. For the first time, I wasn't running on their demands. I was waking up. The hospital room in Fort Wayne felt smaller, the IV in my arm a constant tug. Wendy's message. "Check your bank account. Something's off looped in my head, each word heavier than the last. I'd ignored my finances for years, trusting my family's assurances, but her warning cracked that trust wide open. My hands, still weak, reached for my phone. I dialed Aunt Vivian, my voice low but firm. "I need you here. Now." Vivian arrived within the hour, her laptop tucked under her arm, her face set with the focus of someone who'd spent decades untangling numbers. "Let's see what they've done," she said, pulling a chair to my bedside. Her accounting experience, honed from years running a small business, was my lifeline. She logged into my bank accounts, her fingers flying across the keys, while I watched, my breath shallow. The truth unfolded in cold, hard numbers. A line of credit, $20,000, glared from the screen, opened in my name without my consent. The transactions traced to Lance, my older brother, who'd funneled the money into camera gear and travel for his failing YouTube channel. Smaller withdrawals hit like aftershocks, $500 to a casino near Fort Wayne, linked to Vernon's gambling binges. $3,000 to Jonah's college account tuition I'd thought I'd willingly paid. My family hadn't just used me, they'd stolen from me. Vivian's jaw tightened. "They've been draining you dry," she said, her voice steady but laced with disgust. The 63 missed calls from part 1. Marcia's text demanding my signature. It clicked. They weren't checking on me. They needed my approval to siphon more funds. My mother's sugary words. My dad's promises. My brother's pleas. They were a coordinated grab for my money disguised as family love. Betrayal burned hotter than my fever. I thought of Marcia deleting my hospital comment, Lance's barbecue post mocking my pain, Jonah's hero texts that masked his greed. They'd played me, and I'd let them wiring cash while my health crumbled. No more. Freeze everything, I told Vivian, my voice cutting through the room's hum. Cancel every payment. Now. Vivian nodded, already on the phone with my bank. She authorized a full account freeze, halting all transactions tied to my family. Payments to Vernon's casino accounts. Lance's equipment leases, Jonah's tuition gone. My credit, my savings, my future, they were mine again. The weight of years lifted, replaced by a fire I hadn't felt before. I wasn't just stopping them. I was taking back my life. My phone buzzed as the freeze took effect. Vernon texted first, "You're killing me, kid." His words, meant to guilt me, only fueled my resolve. Lance sent a single crying emoji, pathetic and hollow. Jonah's message was longer, his tone desperate. "My degree's on the line, Heidi. Don't do this." Marcia left a voicemail, her voice dripping with sweetness but edged with steel. "We're family, honey. Let's fix this together." I didn't listen twice. Their panic, their manipulation, it was noise, not power. I set the phone face down, my hands steady for the first time in years. Vivian closed her laptop, her eyes meeting mine. "You're done being their ATM," she said, a rare smile breaking through. I nodded, the fire in my chest spreading. My family thought they could control me even from my hospital bed. They were wrong. I'd been their crutch, their bank, their fool, but no longer. The woman who'd collapsed in that classroom was gone, replaced by someone they couldn't touch. Back in my Fort Wayne apartment, the silence of the hospital was replaced by a storm of notifications. My phone buzzed relentlessly, each ping a reminder of the family I'd cut off. Marcia left voicemails, her voice thick with tears, pleading for me to stop this nonsense and send money again. Vernon's texts were sharper, accusing me of ruining his life, each word laced with venom. "You'll regret this, Heidi." Jonah, ever the charmer, sent guilt-soaked messages. "I'm sorry, sis, but I need you. Don't abandon me." I read them once, then muted their numbers. My accounts were frozen thanks to Aunt Vivian's quick work, and their desperation only hardened my stance. Then Lance took it public. My older brother posted a YouTube video from his cluttered apartment, his face, red eyes wet with staged tears. "My sister abandoned us," he sobbed, spinning a tale of me as a cold-hearted traitor who cut off her struggling family. He mentioned our parents' hard times and Jonah's bright future, painting me as the villain blocking their dreams. The video racked up views, his small audience eating it up. Comments piled in. What a selfish sister. How could she do this? My name trended locally, twisted into a caricature of cruelty. Wendy caught wind of it before I did. Furious, she texted me a link to Lance's video, her message blunt. He's lying to the world. I watched it, my jaw tight, but didn't respond, not yet. Wendy, though, wasn't waiting. She posted a comment under his video, her words cutting through his act. Where were you when Heidi was in the hospital fighting for her life? She funded your videos while you ignored her. Her comment lit a spark. Viewers paused, questioned, then dug deeper. The internet did the rest. Someone unearthed Lance's old vlogs clips where he bragged about his generous sister bankrolling his trips to Chicago and Nashville. Another found a tweet where he boasted about new camera gear, time-stamped the day I'd wired him $2,000. The hypocrisy was glaring. Comments turned on him. You used her money and ditched her fake tears, bro. The hashtag #Justice for Heidi emerged on Twitter, #X, first a whisper, then a roar, as strangers pieced together my story from Wendy's clue. By nightfall, the hashtag was trending in Fort Wayne. Local bloggers shared screenshots of Lance's vlogs exposing his lies. A craft brewery, his only sponsor, dropped him their statement crisp. We don't align with dishonesty. His subscriber count plummeted, each lost follower a crack in his facade. His channel, his lifeline, was bleeding out. I scrolled through the hashtag, seeing strangers defend me, their outrage mirroring mine. My family's perfect image was unraveling thread by thread. Marcia tried to counter it, posting a vague tweet. Family is forever, no matter the lies. It backfired. Users swarmed her, linking to Lance's vlogs, demanding answers. Vernon stayed silent, his threats confined to my inbox. Jonah, desperate, texted again. I didn't mean it. Heidi, help me. I'm broke. His words echoed his old tricks, the hero script I'd once fallen for. I didn't reply. Their pleas, their anger, their lies, they no longer held me. I sat on my couch, phone in hand, watching the chaos unfold. Lance's video, meant to bury me, had turned against him. Wendy's comment, a single truth, had flipped the narrative. The public's shift wasn't just noise, it was justice, raw and unfiltered. My family had built their lives on my sacrifices, then painted me as the problem when I stopped. Now the world saw them for what they were. My resolve grew, not from spite, but from clarity. I wasn't the villain they'd crafted. I was done carrying their weight, done letting their lies define me. The hashtag kept trending, each post a reminder that I wasn't alone. Strangers moved by my story were holding my family accountable. Lance's channel was crumbling. Marcia's tweet was mocked. Jonah's pleas went unanswered. Their perfect mask was gone, and I felt no guilt, only strength. The subject line was blunt. You owe us. Vernon's email, sent from his old Hotmail account, hit my inbox like a punch. He claimed I was withholding family assets by freezing my accounts, threatening to sue for what he called his rightful share. His words were formal, almost rehearsed, but the venom was clear. You can't walk away, Heidi. We'll take this to court. I stared at the screen in my Fort Wayne apartment, my pulse steady. His threat didn't scare me, it exposed his desperation. I forwarded the email to Aunt Vivian. Her response was immediate. He's bluffing, but let's dig. She connected me with her lawyer, a no-nonsense woman named Karen who'd helped freeze my accounts. Karen's team combed through my financial records, and what they found was worse than Vernon's threats. My father had forged my signature to withdraw $10,000 from my pension account, siphoning the funds to cover gambling debts at a casino outside Fort Wayne. The paperwork, dated months ago, bore my name in his shaky scrawl. I hadn't noticed, too busy bailing him out. Karen moved fast. She drafted a cease and desist letter nullifying Vernon's claim to any assets. The letter also flagged his pension fraud to his creditors who were already circling him for unpaid loans. His legal threat collapsed before it could start his own deceit, his undoing. I felt no shock, only a grim satisfaction. My dad had crossed a line, and now he'd face the consequences. Meanwhile, Lance tried to claw back his image. He uploaded another YouTube video, this one a rambling plea for sympathy filmed in his dim apartment. "I'm not a bad guy," he insisted, blaming me for his channel's decline. "Heidi's lies are tearing us apart." His crocodile tears fell flat. The cause justice for Heidi hashtag still trending on Twitter RX drowned him out. Viewers flooded his comments with screenshots of his old vlogs exposing his boasts about my money. His subscriber count, already battered, dropped below 200. A local news outlet picked up the story, labeling him a failed influencer caught in a lie. His channel was dead. Jonah's world crumbled too. Unable to pay dorm fees after I cut him off, he was evicted from his college housing in Indianapolis, a 2-hour drive from Fort Wayne. He texted me, his tone frantic. "I'm sleeping in my car. Heidi, fix this." His words, once laced with charm, now rang hollow. I didn't respond. His bright future had been built on my sacrifices, and without me, it was unraveling. Marcia made a final play to salvage their reputation. She posted a tweet from her rarely used Twitter EX account, "We love our daughter no matter what." The words were meant to sound noble, but they landed like a bad script. The Farn Justice for Heidi crowd pounced, reposting Lance's vlogs and my hospital comment she'd deleted. "Love you, ignored her health scare," one user wrote. Others reported her for harassment, citing her role in burying my truth. Twitter AUX suspended her account hours later, her attempt at damage control backfiring spectacularly. The Thompsons' facade shattered. Vernon's creditors hounded him, his fraud now public. Lance's channel was a ghost town, his sponsorships gone. Jonah's college dreams stalled, his charm useless without my cash. Marcia's social media presence, her last shield, was erased. Their perfect image, carefully curated for years, lay in ruins. Fort Wayne's gossip mill churned, neighbors whispering about their downfall. They'd built their lives on my trust, then burned it to the ground. I sat at my kitchen table, scrolling through the hashtag's latest posts. Strangers shared stories of betrayal, their words echoing my own. I didn't feel pity for my family, not for Vernon's debts. Lance's failure, Jonah's eviction, or Marcia's humiliation. Their ruin was self-inflicted, each choice a brick in their own collapse. My relief was quiet but deep. I'd carried their weight for years, but now I was free of it. Karen called, her voice calm. "Vernon's done. His creditors are closing in, and the pension fraud could mean jail time." I nodded the phone to my ear. My father's threats, my mother's lies, my brother's schemes, they'd all led here. The Iron Justice for Heidi hashtag wasn't just a trend, it was a mirror reflecting their truth to the world. I set my phone down, my hands steady. Their story was over. Mine was just beginning. The air in my Fort Wayne apartment was heavy, thick with memories I wanted to leave behind. Vernon's threats, Marcia's lies, Lance's videos, Jonah's pleas, they echoed in every corner, a past I couldn't escape. Aunt Vivian sat across from me, her voice calm but firm. "It's time to cut them off for good," she said, sliding a legal letter across the table. Drafted by her lawyer, it barred my family from contacting me, a final wall between us. I stared at the page, my pen hovering. Signing it meant severing them completely, my dad, my mom, my brothers. A flicker of guilt stirred. What if people judged me, called me heartless for abandoning them? Vivian's hand touched mine. "You're not abandoning them, Heidi. You're saving yourself." Her words steadied me, reminding me of the pension fraud, the stolen $20,000, the hospital bed they'd ignored. I signed the letter, my hand steady, the ink sealing my choice. The Thompsons were no longer my burden. I was done. I left Fort Wayne a week later, my belongings packed into a rented van. Maine was my destination, a coastal town where Vivian owned a cozy seaside home. The drive was long, crossing states, but each mile felt lighter, the weight of my family's demands fading. I settled into Vivian's house, its windows framing the Atlantic's endless churn. The ocean's rhythm was new, a pulse that drowned out the chaos I'd left behind. Teaching online became my anchor. I led virtual literature classes from a small desk, my students' faces glowing on the screen. Discussing novels, grading essays, planning lessons, it gave me structure, a purpose untied to my family's needs. The routine was quiet, steady, a stark contrast to the years I'd spent scrambling to fund Vernon's bets or Jonah's tuition. For the first time, my days were mine. Wendy visited one weekend, her energy bursting into the house like sunlight. Over coffee, she leaned forward, her eyes bright. "We should open a bookstore here," she said. "You always talked about it. Heidi, a little shop, books everywhere, your dream." I froze, the idea stirring something I'd buried long ago. A bookstore had been my fantasy, shelved to pay Lance's loans or Marcia's bills. Now, with my accounts free and my family gone, it felt possible, but daunting. That flicker of guilt returned. Was I betraying them by building something new? I pushed it down. Wendy's grin was infectious, her belief in me unwavering. We spent hours sketching plans. A small shop, maybe near the harbor, with shelves of novels and a corner for local poets. We'd call it New Chapter, a nod to my fresh start. Vivian overheard us nodding approval. "It's perfect," she said. "You're not just starting over, you're creating." Her encouragement, paired with Wendy's enthusiasm, tipped the scale. I agreed to try the idea, taking root, a symbol of a life I could claim. The no-contact letter had been mailed, its terms clear. Vernon, Marcia, Lance, Jonah were barred from reaching me. My phone stayed silent, no texts or voicemails to test my resolve. I imagined their anger, my father's curses, my mother's tears, my brother's desperation, but it didn't shake me. The guilt I'd felt was fading, replaced by a clarity I'd earned. Standing by the ocean one evening, the waves crashing under a gray sky, I reflected on the years I'd been their lifeline. I'd poured my health, my money, my heart into them, thinking it was duty. But they'd used me, and I'd let them until I couldn't anymore. Self-preservation wasn't betrayal, it was survival. Choosing myself meant breaking free, not just from their demands, but from the version of me who thought I owed them everything. To anyone trapped like I was, I'd say, "You're not their savior. Your life isn't their right. Choose yourself even when it hurts, because that's the only way to live." Leading sentence. A letter arrived, sealed in my mother's handwriting. The envelope sat on my desk in Maine, its edges crisp, Marcia's cursive unmistakable. I opened it alone, the paper heavy with her words. "You can't turn your back on us." She wrote, her tone a blend of sorrow and demand. She spoke of family, of love, but each line dripped with the same manipulation I'd heard for years. "We need you, Heidi. Come home." I read it once, my heart unmoved, and tossed it into the trash. My mother's pleas, like her deleted comment, were too late. Maine was my refuge, its coastal air sharp and clean. Wendy and I had opened New Chapter, a bookstore nestled in a quiet town, its shelves lined with novels and local poetry. The shop was small, its windows framing the Atlantic, but it buzzed with life. Regulars filled the armchairs, swapping stories over coffee, while kids sprawled on rugs for story time. We'd poured our savings into it, a gamble that paid off. The store thrived, its register humming, its community growing. For the first time, I built something for myself, not my family. Wendy was my anchor. She handled the numbers, her laughter filling the shop as she teased me about my shelving obsession. "You're worse than a librarian," she'd say, handing me a stack of mysteries. We worked late, unpacking donated books, our hands dusted with ink. The store gave me purpose, a rhythm that drowned out the past. My old life in Fort Wayne, Vernon's bets. Lance's videos, Jonah's schemes felt like a faded book closed and shelved. Aunt Vivian visited often, her sharp eyes softening as she watched me work. Over tea one evening, she set her cup down and said, "You broke their cycle, Heidi. I'm proud." Her words landed gently, a validation I hadn't sought but needed. She'd seen my family's grip on me, warned me years ago, and now saw my freedom. I smiled, the weight of her praise settling in. The Thompsons' collapse. Marcia's lies. Vernon's fraud. My brother's failures was theirs, not mine. The internet hadn't forgotten. Strangers still posted about the harm justice for Heidi, their tweets a distant echo of the drama that had fueled my fight. Some shared screenshots of Lance's dead channel, others speculated about Vernon's debts. I scrolled past them, uninterested. The hashtag had served its purpose, exposing my family's truth, but it wasn't my story anymore. My life was here in the creak of the shop's floorboards, the chatter of readers, the salt air through the open door. One afternoon, as I shelved a box of donated classics, a breeze swept through the shop carrying the faint scent of ink and salt. It stirred the pages, rustling like a whisper, and I paused my hand on a worn copy of Jane Eyre. The ocean stretched beyond the window, its waves steady, endless. That breeze felt like a promise, quiet but sure of beginnings, untainted by my past. I wasn't just free from my family, I was free from their hold on my heart. Looking back, I saw the cost of my loyalty, the years I'd given to people who took without giving. Letting go wasn't just leaving Fort Wayne or ignoring Marcia's letter. It was releasing the guilt, the need to fix them, the hope they'd change. Freedom came when I chose myself, when I built this shop, this life with Wendy by my side. To anyone watching my story, I'd say this: your heart doesn't owe anyone your ruin. Let go, not just of them, but of the chains they forged. The world is wider than their demands, and you deserve to claim it.